Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is day 3 of the Virtual Island Summit. I can't believe it. Time is going fast, and this is also the 5th anniversary of the Virtual Island Summit this year. This is Stacey Alvarez de la Campa. Most of you know me by now. I am based in Barbados, and I am the community manager, and I'm also the lead facilitator of the Caribbean Climate Justice Leaders Academy. I love saying that word because it's such an amazing institution we have already. So I'm really happy to be presenting this session. This is all about the Climate Justice Academy that we've started here. Many thanks to our sponsors, Open Society Foundation, for helping us to spearhead this initiative. And before we begin, I want to let you all know that there should be a poll. You should see a poll appearing on your screen right now. And the poll is to kind of indicate where you are from, which part of the world you're from, also what sector you belong to, and also what industry you belong to. And please feel free to use the chat to introduce yourselves. Yay, I see some ambassadors in there. I see Makalese joining Pratera. I see, this is Madji from Oslo. I see Jamaica joining us, Cabo Verde. So keep giving shout outs in the chat while you answer the poll to make sure you answer all 3 questions. And then I should soon be able to see the results of that. And in the meantime, while you all are doing that, as we say, please, you can remember that you can use the Q&A function for your questions. And we're going to try to make sure that we can answer as many of those as possible. So this session is very much about highlighting the efforts and achievements and projects of our initial cohort of the Caribbean Climate Justice Leaders Academy. I will see hi. I see people are saying hi from Belize, from everywhere around in the world, and Cayman Islands. Okay, so we have a huge 39% of people tuning in from the Caribbean region. That is followed by North America. We also have Europe in the house and some of the African region there as well, and South and Central America. Okay, so that's good to know. And we have quite a few of you, or the vast majority of you are joining us from the private sector as well. We also have academia represented, NGOs, government, and others. And in terms of the sector you're from, it's definitely mostly the environmental services and oceans conservation. Quite a high number in finance as well joining us. So welcome to everybody, no matter what industry you're from. I know this is really super relevant. So again, I will say welcome, and I'm just going to share my screen so we can get started with our presentations today. And in the meanwhile, as I said, please keep using the chat. It's wonderful to see everybody from so many different places. Every time I'm blown away by how we can all come together. So thanks so much. Okay, so now I'm sharing the screen. All right, so we should soon be seeing, I'm going to present here now. Okay, so here we go. And as I said, welcome so much again to our 5th anniversary of the Virtual Island Summit here. We are having this session that is all about the Caribbean Climate Justice Academy. And I've mentioned it before, but I will mention again, thanks to our sponsors, Open Society Foundation, who have really made an incredible initiative possible. And we'll hear from our participants in this first cohort of the Caribbean Climate Justice Academy. So just a few words about what we're all about. So this is a fully funded opportunity for young Caribbean activists and community leaders to learn about the concept of climate justice, which is an emerging field of law and jurisprudence, and which is developing as we speak. So it's something that's evolving. And you'll also engage with global policymakers and promoting climate action at the UN's Conference of Parties. It's going to be held in Dubai this year, the first 2 weeks of December. So throughout this course, the participants acquired lots of knowledge. We had some amazing guest lecturers who came to talk about things like a just transition in using renewable energy, the intersectionalities of things like gender with climate justice. And also, I think one of the things that struck me most was this great networking and the great fellowships and friendships that have been forged amongst the members of the Caribbean Climate Justice Leaders Academy. So the top 10 participants who are here today, and some of them are here in person, some of them will present some recordings on their behalf. They have been given the opportunity to travel to Dubai this year to attend COP28. And this is the part of where we want them to really have an impact on the conversations around climate change in the future. Okay, So just to say, the COP cohort, as I'm calling them, we want to give huge congratulations to these 10 young people, these 10 amazing individuals. We have Luciana Dos from Suriname, Yemi Knight from Barbados, Christine Samaru from Guyana, Maya Semester of Antigua and Barbuda, Muskan Kimani from Curacao, Oriana Wouters of Aruba, Deje Lyons of the Cayman Islands, Lisana Dyer of Dominica, Rianne Jervis from Trinidad and Tobago, and Carice Elliott of St. Kitts and Nevis. They're all here. So I'm going to stop sharing because what we will do, we're going to go right into hearing the experiences of the cohort themselves. And we're going to have a video from a member of the cohort, Oriana, who could not join us in person, but we're going to have a video play from her. So I will ask our tech team to take it away.
Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. My name is Oriana Wouters from the island of Aruba. I would like to start by thanking Island Innovation for this platform, the Virtual Islands Summit. And I would also like to thank Open Society Foundation for, together with Island Innovation, for bringing the Climate Justice Leaders Academy to the Caribbean. I applied for this program because throughout my life, I've been moved by injustice, and I really wanted to learn more about what others are doing in the Caribbean about it, and how I could better address this. So by the first presentation and interactive discussion, I learned that for climate justice to take place, the legislative framework has to be in place. So luckily, throughout my work as a nature policy officer and with the supporting team, we were able to get the Escazú agreement on the political agenda. But if it weren't for the Climate Justice Leaders Academy and the interactive discussions that we have, I would have not learned from another speaker here today, Christine Samaru from Guyana, that there is the risk of SLAP, which are strategic lawsuits against public participation. So this is what I especially enjoy of the group. It's multidisciplinary, people have exceptional experience and they're very knowledgeable. And the best part is not having to feel like an oddball in the bunch. So it creates a sense of place. This cohort has been amazing, awe-inspiring, and at times their stories have been tear-jerking. So with that said, I would like to talk a bit about my project that I'm carrying out here in Aruba. It's a food forest that I execute in partnership with a local peanut farmer who provided me with some land to have a plot. Food forests generally combine agriculture with forest development, which results in afforestation, knowledge building, microclimate regulation, food security, and also water conservation. And that's very important for Aruba because we're drought prone, where we have a semi-arid climate. On average, we receive less than 500 millimeters a year, and even, which translates, to 19 inches a year. So we are very vulnerable to drought. There are research topics that I would like to explore, and these encompass carbon sequestration capacity, soil productivity on the plants, which I expect that would be enhanced through this system, biodiversity accretion, and I would like to provide a business case for the local community. So in the coming months, I will be expanding the plot. I would like to establish a research partnership with the university, and I'm searching for funding mechanisms for projects like this. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you all for your interest in today's topics. Thank you to all the speakers who are here. And if you are youth interested in climate justice in the Caribbean and want or have a project in mind, I encourage you to please apply for the next cohort in the Caribbean Climate Justice Leaders Academy. And with that said, I pass the floor back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Oriana. And Oriana gave real insight into what this experience has been like, this real sense of camaraderie, amazing sense of fellowship, and how much we all learn from each other, which I think was just about the best part of it. So I will, without further ado, I will go on to Luciana Dost from Suriname. Luciana, you can open up your camera if you like, or you can just start your presentation. Luciana is another one of our finalists, so please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Luciano Luz, and I'm from Suriname. I would like to start by talking a bit about myself, introducing myself. Yeah. I'm Luciano Luz. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Suriname. My background is in environmental sciences, where I kind of fell in love with doing forest research. And then I ended up in the humanitarian field at the Red Cross. The two pictures on the left side where I'm with the communities. That's from my time at the Red Cross, where I used to work for building resilience in vulnerable communities in Suriname. I was mostly focused on disaster management, climate change, and gender. And then after this, I'm at my current job now, but as a research assistant at CELOS. At CELOS, my main duties are to help with research when it comes to non-timber forest products. So products that come out of the forest that are not just commercial wood. Think of herbs, think of spices, think of oils. The reason for doing this research is to kind of have an indication of what the economic activities have on what kind of impact the economic activities have on our forests, but also because the non-timber forest products are a way of economic development without destroying the forest, without having too many bad side effects. CELOS also does research in just forestry. So as you can see, in one of the photos, I'm in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of older men doing forest research. Besides my work at CELOS, I also help out with other projects from time to time. And currently, I'm helping a small NGO called EnviroArt with a project on the Guyanan primates. They are trying to understand how communities feel about climate change and conservation and primates, and trying to have a census of how many primates are around villages in Suriname. And in one word, the whole experience with the Climate Justice Academy has been inspiring. I think Stacey mentioned it. We've had speakers that have all kinds of different backgrounds, but have so much important information, but then also great stories to tell about what their experience has been like getting there and doing research and helping out with human rights. It really has been inspiring. And then besides that, you also have the other participants that have also really, they've made me feel less alone, so to speak. You know, a younger person that is concerned about climate change, that is concerned about human rights and other environmental issues. It's not the most common thing, so it was very nice to meet other young people in the Caribbean that have these interests. So that is the short version of like what the Climate Justice Academy has been like, how it felt like. I also wanna say thank you for the different assignments that we did during the Climate Justice Academy. One of them was to write a blog about our experience with climate change, which was very nice to dig into how you feel about it and what you have actually experienced. And then you had an assignment on going through the climate change policy of your country. And the last one was, of course, the pitch to go to COP28 for the UNFCCC. And we got in, so I'm very, very excited to go. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Luciana. I just keep smiling every time I see you all and I hear your experiences. I'm so happy for everyone in this cohort. We have an amazing group of young people, everyone, and we have plans for those who are not physically going to COP28. We also have a great agenda set out for them. So thank you for that, Luciano. So I will now turn my focus to Yemi Knight from Barbados. Yemi could not be here in person. However, they did want to just have me read a few words. So I'll just give a little background about Yemi. And Yemi is a dedicated and experienced conservationist, and they played actually a crucial role in some recent constitutional reform here in Barbados, which is, I think people underestimate or can take for granted just how significant that process is. So they have really advocated for the inclusion of comprehensive protections for gender identity in Barbados. And Yemi is really responsible for, I think, raising the bar about, or consciousness about, everyone who is part of the climate justice struggle and what that's all about for all the individuals involved. So I'll just read a few words on behalf of Yemi, where they give some background about how they felt about the Climate Justice Academy and kind of how some of the projects that they have going. So Yemi says from a young age, they developed a deep love for nature and an understanding of the connections between the environment, humanity, and the need for just solutions. They have started their NGO called the Anchorage Climate Action Plan, which focuses on water scarcity and making sure that there is enough water in Barbados to reach rural communities, which is a problem that we do have here in the island. Yemi says that they were truly grateful for their experience with the Climate Justice Leaders Academy, because it was filled with really valuable learning experiences, and that everyone there was really exceptional and inspiring and motivating everyone to share stories. And Yemi echoes that sentiment that Luciano just echoed about. There was a sense of community and a sense of belonging amongst us all that I think has really touched the core of what the Academy is all about. So Yemi was also continued by saying that the course expanded their knowledge about climate justice, but also gave them the confidence to really articulate, I would say even more confidence, because Yemi was very confident and a wonderful listener and very confident when it came to articulating and advocating for all of the issues that they hold close to their heart. And they also said that they really hope to lobby for Barbados to ratify the Escazú Agreement to ensure that we all have the same rights as everyone in the region. And also Yemi's focuses on marginalized groups and communities. So thank you so much, Yemi, for sending those words that we could share. And we will now turn the floor over to Christine Samaru, who is based in Guyana. Christine is another one of our wonderful members who was selected to go to COP28. And Christine, I will leave the floor to you.
Thank you so much, Stacey. I really appreciate it. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in this afternoon. And honestly, I live in this place of feeling gratitude and being thankful for all the opportunities that are presented to me. I am based in Guyana, and I'm the founder of the Breadfruit Collective, which is a gender and environmental justice organization that really focuses in on the intersectionality of the issues that we face, whether it's mental health, gender-based violence, youth development, education, sexual reproductive health. It all matters. And this passion to start in this organization really stemmed from my childhood of growing up in a home and seeing gender-based violence play out before my eyes. And even as an adult, seeing that not much have been done within my country to create safe spaces for women and girls. So the Breadfruit Collective really aims to address these issues and to address it in an intersecting way and an intergenerational way, because we realize that the issue affects everyone. And so we really want to make connections with people who are older than us, who have done this work, who have been doing this work for a very long time. And at the same time, make space for people who are younger than us, because we know when we think about the planetary crisis, climate change, climate crisis, climate disasters, of vulnerable groups that often usually gets left out of the conversation are girls, young children, kids. They usually get left out of that conversation, and that's definitely an injustice. So part of my work is helping people to understand the connection of the climate crisis to colonialism, because again, thinking about the Caribbean and where we're based, how we are people of the Caribbean, meaning that we are people from indentured servants, we are people that came from enslavement, and so we have a lot of pain to unpack. So allowing people to understand the connection between climate and how that connects to colonialism and capitalism and the patriarchal society that we live in. And this program has honestly been really an addition to my scholarship in this topic. I'm so grateful to learn from so many different persons from across the Caribbean. I think that was the most fulfilling, to be able to interact with people, like-minded people who are in the field, various aspect of it, and who are doing the work day in and day out. I always tell people, when we talk about the climate crisis, it's really important for us not to be gatekeepers, but for us to be continuously want to learn, and for us to also build partnerships. And I think that's exactly what we were able to do here with the academy. We were able to build partnerships across countries and be able to like see similarities and question each other. And, throughout it has always been like a friendly environment whereby people are congratulating each other. And again, we're young people. And the thing about climate change is we really need the masses of people to understand the magnitude of the issues. And we need large amount of people in the Caribbean to wake up to this call to climate action. And I think through the academy, through our various voices, it's been very hopeful. It's been energizing to be in this space, and I'm so grateful and thankful to be a part of it. A part of our trip to COP. I know it's going to continue to be a space of learning and unlearning, and I'm really excited for it. Thank you so much, Stacey.
You're more than welcome. Thanks so much for saying those words. And I think that this call to have an intergenerational approach to how we focus on climate action, I think is really important. And thanks to Christine for highlighting that. So we have another one of our finalists who's heading to COP28. We have with us Maya from Antigua. Maya, feel free to turn your camera on, and we would love to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Stacey. Good afternoon, everyone. I am honored and happy to be a part of this virtual Island Summit, and also congratulations on its 5th anniversary. My name is Maya Sinister, and I am from Antigua and Barbuda, but I also want to acknowledge that I was born in St. Lucia and have lived between the two islands throughout my life. I am a second-year mechanical engineering student studying in the UK. My experience with the Climate Justice Leaders Academy has been phenomenal. That's the best word I can use to describe it. In every session, I sit upright at my desk, and like a sponge, I just absorb all the goodness, all the richness of the guest speakers and my peers' perspectives, against the backdrop of Ms. Stacey guiding us through these discussions. I also want to add that Ms. Stacey has been a fantastic and engaging facilitator and really brings the energy to the session. So thank you, Ms. Stacey. And the crazy thing about this experience is that there's so much more to learn as our understanding continues to evolve on this leading edge topic of climate justice in the Caribbean. How did I get into this program? I thought it was worth mentioning. I believe that there's no such thing as coincidence, just the next logical step, and the next, and the next, and the next. And at the time that I saw the call for applications for the Climate Justice Academy, I was just wrapping up my first formal engineering project, wherein my team had to create a sustainable disaster relief solution. And being part of this program and knowing what I know now and what is yet to come has helped me to identify efficiencies in my approach as a budding researcher and as a student. This understanding that I could probably only get from here, and this inclusive environment to learn. So another takeaway from this program was being challenged to analyze climate policy. So as Luciano mentioned, we got an assignment where we had to analyze a climate change policy from our island. And with an engineering degree, it was a shift, definitely a shift, because we do math and calculations and experiments, but it was quite a challenge to identify and go through these policies. And I admit that data analysis and collection can sometimes be a hindrance to action, but we've collectively decided in our human experience that that is what we need for policymaking. So I now understand the importance. And, you know, it has shifted my perspective on law and politics, because, you know, in the Caribbean, we could have a skewed understanding between people and politics, but going through that assignment has empowered me to see climate justice challenges in a positive light, as well as know my rights and have a very solution-oriented mindset. So another takeaway from this program with the Justice Leaders Academy was the importance of gender environment data. So for example, in my engineering project that I mentioned earlier, I tried to explain to my group, who were all UK nationals, what the challenges we were facing, to, you know, suggest solutions for that moving forward. And I found that it was difficult for them to digest. So for context, this engineering solution involved a washing device for sanitary napkins. And I said, okay, since hand washing is a common skill, then whatever we design probably should not be more complicated than if they were to hand wash. But without the evidence, even though they did try to listen, they found it hard to connect. And I thought, how much more people are, you know, trying to come up with these solutions, not having the data, and then maybe missing the mark when it comes to making these solutions, even though they have all this good in mind. So the importance of gender data, environmental data, and gender environmental data is very important to understand ourselves, but also to transcend the Caribbean context and help others understand us. So these are just a few takeaways from the Caribbean Climate Justice Leaders Academy. It has been a transformational experience that changed the trajectory of my studies. Just today, I spoke to my personal tutor about, you know, deadlines, and because it does, COP is happening at the end of the term, but he was very supportive, very excited, as I am too. So just thank you to Island Innovation for being so inclusive and open, giving me and others a chance to immerse ourselves in genuine Caribbean climate justice, and providing inspiration in endless possibilities to enact positive change. Thank you.
Thanks for those wonderful words, Maya. Oh my goodness. So you brought amazing energy to the sessions as well, trust me. And I think what you mentioned there about the importance of context and the importance of data, that's something that, as you say, we really focused on, because, you know, for a lot of times, if you can't measure something, you can't, I think, create policies that effectively address it. And often when you dig beneath the numbers that are data, I think this is something that actually in one of Christine's sessions, because one of the things we did, we had the cohort themselves were the guest lecturers, because we wanted to empower everyone to have a voice. And I think that we mentioned that data, and it's not just numbers, they're people, their faces, their individuals, their lives behind those numbers, and those numbers are meant to reflect that. So that's, if we look at data in that way, it becomes something living, it becomes something very relevant, and it's something that we really need to keep focusing on. So thanks for that, Maya. That was really very inspiring. There are lots of positive comments in the chat. So without further ado, we're going to move on now to Muskan. Muskan, who is joining us and who is a member from Curacao. Great to see you, Muskan. The floor is yours. We will now listen to you. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Stacey. I'm really happy to be here and talk with you all a little bit today. So my name is Muskan Kimani. I'm 23 years old and I'm born and raised in Curacao. I'm currently based in the US. I got my bachelor's in Earth and Environmental Science, and the reason that I decided to study environmental science was when I was staying in Curacao, I started to learn how to scuba dive. And the reason I learned how to scuba dive was actually to do a coral restoration program, which some of you might know. It's a way to plant coral reefs in artificial nurseries, because a lot of the Caribbean is already dealing with coral bleaching, and we're already seeing our marine life affected. And I was, I think, 15 or 16 when I started doing that. And so that really had a big impact on me. And I decided that I need to, if I'm working on something, it has to be something to help climate change. It has to be something to make sure that, my home isn't like gone because of climate change. And so I studied international relations and earth and environmental science, and I've kind of been always interested in like the intersection of the environment and social issues. And when I learned about environmental justice in school, it was a very life-changing moment for me. And slowly but surely, climate justice became a term that was more and more available to use. And so when that started to happen, I realized that's exactly where I've been interested my whole life. I finally have the words to say it. And so when I saw this program, I was really, really excited to apply. Right now, some of my work is on how heat affects public health and how flooding affects public health. And in Curacao, I'm involved in conversations about the future of our refinery. There's also some food forest programs, and I've helped write grants so that we can expand them in Curacao. And also just generally building capacity in Curacao and making sure that we have the tools we need to move forward. And joining this academy was probably one of the highlights of my summer. It was so exciting sitting in front of my laptop every Tuesday and talking to everyone, meeting everyone. We had many conversations, and it was about science, policy, governance, gender, advocacy, public health, communication. And because climate justice is such a big encompassing term, I feel like we were actually able to dedicate each session to one part of climate justice. And I really gained a holistic approach on how to, what climate justice is and how to make sure we live in a climate just world, because we really dove deep into all of the aspects and sectors of what functions are in a society. And I've met many wonderful people, and we had some great ideas about inter-Caribbean projects that I hope we can follow up on. I think a lot of ideas were sparked for a lot of us through these conversations, because we learned from each other. We had really genuine conversations about the topics that I mentioned and many, many more topics. And I think the conversations were helpful for me to understand how to enact change. We heard from, members from our cohort on projects they had done, but also understanding the pieces that need to be in place so that change can happen. That was very, very inspiring. And I feel really lucky that I got to be part of the academy and got to meet so many amazing people from around the Caribbean that I don't know how else I would have met. And I'm really excited to get to go to COP and just kind of share the conversations that we've had in the academy, because I think that we have a lot to say and I think people need to hear it. And so I'm really excited that we get a voice and we get to share it on behalf of everyone. Yeah, that was my experience in the academy. I'm so thankful. So yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome, Muskan. It was great to have you as part of the academy. And I think what you touched on is something that we take for granted. We're all in the Caribbean, and there are lots of people who seem to think, well, we must kind of all know each other, same region. But it's amazing how we can be so close physically in terms of the geography of the islands, but in terms of, mindset, sometimes projects happening, we're a world apart. And it's really important for these kind of platforms. That was one of the benefits, to just get to know each other. Like I know forever I'll have friends in Suriname and Curacao and Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda and Guyana. And it actually reminds me of working with Island Innovation, I have to be honest and say, because we're a remote company, we have I have team members from islands all over the world, and I've never experienced that outside of that context until now. And that was something that was really valuable. So I appreciate you commenting on that, Muskan. Thank you. So now we're going to move to, there is a presentation from Dejay Lyons, who was one of our finalists. Okay, so let me actually just share my screen. She is going to come up, and she had sent a presentation, so I would like to share this presentation on her behalf, just so that we can all get a sense of it. Okay, so without further ado, let me put it on slideshow. Just take a little while to load. And please feel free in the meantime, please use the Q&A function. Ask any questions you might have for me or for the participants. We would really appreciate hearing what you have to say. Okay, so Dejay is from the Cayman Islands, and she's 20 years old, and she does consider herself to be an environmental advocate and activist. And she's been in this environmental community for 4 years, so since the tender age of 16. And she's currently studying at BAFSPA University and will be doing a placement year. So this is something that I think is important. All of our participants have a sense of movement and a sense of development and want to see how they can evolve as best they can. Okay, so that's something that Dejay definitely exemplifies. She has several projects. You can see she had projects called the Save the Eden Rock protest. And this was a protest that she organized to protest the construction of a cruise birthing facility. Okay, so this is an aspect of advocacy and climate activism. Make your voice heard and have the courage to say why a particular action, although it may seem good developmentally, might not be so good for the environment. She's had projects that include a call to action, and she has won various awards, including the Princess Diana Award and the Making Waves Award, okay? And this is some of the environmental experiences that Dejay has to share. She's represented at the Planetary Alliance. This is the protest that she was taking part in to stop the proposed cruise birthing facility. And then she had also won a Cayman Island Proud of Them Community Service Award. Okay, so Dejay says the 4 words that she's going to use to summarize her experience in the Climate Justice Academy were empowered, educated, inspired, and united. So there's a sense of empowerment and rejuvenation to start some new campaigns. And this is something I'd like to talk to our other participants about. What are their plans after COP? In terms of educated, I'm flattered, Dejay said she learned from me as well, and from the cohort. There was a lot that we learned in a short period of time. When I think of, we had sessions every week, and there's so much that we learned, and we kept conversations going on. We have various community platforms. We have a community platform called Circle, and we had a WhatsApp group, and we shared resources. So that's something that was really wonderful. And Dejay also says that she found the cohort and guest speakers really inspiring because we made impacts in our communities. And then, of course, the sense of unity. That there is a community of young people. We're ready to fight, and we can do this together. And along with us being young people, we want to create the intergenerational aspects of it. I made a bit of a slip there. I said we as young people. I am not young, but the other young people who were part of the cohort were absolutely fantastic. So Dejay is really grateful to the cohort and for Island Innovation, and also Open Society Foundation for conducting the academy, and believes that the best is yet to come. So I think those are really great words to just wrap that up on. And we will also now turn over to, next we have Lisana, who is here from Dominica. Hi, Lisana, the floor is yours. We can't wait to hear you.
Thank you, Stacey, and good afternoon to all. I'm quite delighted to be here on this panel discussion with my fellow colleagues from the Academy at this year's Island Innovation Summit, and of course, everyone else tuning in from various parts of the world. My name is Lisana Dyer from the beautiful island of the Commonwealth of Dominica. I'm an environmentalist by profession with a background in environmental and natural resource management. I've worn many hats throughout my career journey so far, which includes researcher, environmental officer, project coordinator, and I've dabbled a little bit into environmental diplomacy. I merged my academic background with my profession for preserving the environment. I just want to thank Island Innovation for this wonderful platform and opportunity. The Academy so far has exceeded my expectations. It provided a safe space for discussions on various elements related to climate justice, which include policy, governance, understanding climate science, and public health, among others. At the Academy, we are able to discuss solutions to some of the problems that we may be facing from different angles, as all islands possess different levels of capacity. The Academy provides a space where we learn from each other and our experiences, whether it is in the workplace or from a personal perspective. As it relates to networking, we were able to share feedback on the sessions, assignments, and activities. From my personal experience, I gained a friend from Anguilla who was actually working in Dominica at the time the Academy started, and we have been cool ever since. So the networking was definitely a benefit from this Academy. And with regards to the activities and assignments, I was able to be creative, to express myself, be objective, incorporate my knowledge and with my passion. At this point, I'll say I don't have a particular project, but I do believe that public awareness is key. And I'll go into that just a little bit. So Dominica has suffered drastically from extreme weather events in recent years. The special circumstances of small island developing states make it difficult to cope with this phenomenon. And sharing my knowledge and experiences on climate change science and its impacts has proved to be an agent for change. I believe that public awareness is critical, a very critical ingredient for improving one's understanding and tackling the challenges faced from the climate crisis. Experiencing impacts of the decline in Dominica's economic development, coupled with physical and mental impacts on the nationals, especially our indigenous population immediately after Hurricane Maria in 2017, has caused me to be more vigilant in sharing my knowledge. Thus, I made it my point of duty to share my research, my experiences and lessons learned on various platforms, to include non-profit service organizations, national youth organizations, and the climate change conferences through interviews, guest speaking, and the conduction of workshops, and of course through this medium as well. So this Academy has definitely provided a space for further sharing my knowledge and experiences, to be the voice, of an environmentalist from the perspective of a young woman from a small island developing state. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to learn from the experiences of my colleagues within the region, because this is something new and refreshing that I've never gotten the opportunity to experience before. So I look forward to what's to come. And once again, thank you.
You're more than welcome. Yes, it's been a great experience for all of us to be together and learn. And thanks to all of you who have been putting some questions and comments in the chat. We definitely have time for a Q&A. So we have just a couple more members of the cohort that we wanted to focus on. We have, let me just share my screen again. They were not able to make it today, but on their behalf, I just want to say a few words and give a shout out to Carice Elliott from St. Kitts Nevis. She actually is working in the arena of fashion. She has a bachelor's degree in political science. And she has a project which aims to reuse old material and create bags and clothing. And I will say that this is an industry that really needs a more sustainable aspect to it. And we're really glad that Carice is part of the cohort, because the amount of waste that occurs in the fashion industry, more so in the global north, where so many things are thrown away as opposed to recycled. And there's actually, if you were to Google, there's a part of the Mojave Desert, I believe, where there's just a huge, it's the land equivalent of the Great Floating Pacific Garbage Patch. There's a huge area of desert with just acres and acres of discarded clothes that have just been thrown away. So Carice is someone who is aiming to stop that trend, and was someone who definitely learned a lot from the Caribbean Climate Justice Academy. And I want to share a few words that she sent that we can highlight what she's been doing. So she said that she ventured into climate change in a way that was unbeknownst to her because she has a business called Clutched. And she focuses on Sustainable Development Goal number 9, which is industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and is innovative enough and resourceful enough to use scrap pieces and from design things that designers throws away and local clothing stores to create bags and fabric, which I think will make a huge, huge difference in affordability and sustainability. So that was really fantastic. Carice goes on to say that she really enjoyed the experience of the Caribbean Climate Justice Leaders Academy. She says, even if you have little knowledge of climate change, little to no knowledge, you will leave really having a lot of knowledge. And that's something we really wanted to highlight. The point of this was not to have people who are well established in the arena come on. We really want to give a voice to those, I call them the unsung heroes in the climate fight, who, you know, you're young people and you're doing things and you have projects that really make an impact in sustainability and can help make an impact in climate change, okay? So Carice goes on to say that she liked the term I use because I personally don't like to use the term small island developed states. I prefer to say large ocean states. I think language is powerful. I think the story and the narrative we tell will create the reality that we want to perpetuate. And I like to say we are large ocean states. We have an ocean of knowledge. We have an ocean of connectedness. We can see it as distance or connection, and we can really enhance our island identities to create a sense of resilience. So large ocean states was a term that Carice said she came away using, and she really appreciates being able to travel to Dubai later on this year. So we also have some words from our final of the 10 who is heading to Dubai, Rianne Gervais from Trinidad and Tobago. And I will share my screen again, just to give you guys some insight into Rianne and what she's doing. Okay, so Rianne is an environmental science as well as a sustainable technology student. Okay, and she focuses on, she's worked on several sustainability projects, gathering data. So one of Rianne's project involved data, and it was really great to have her in the cohort. And she wanted to determine if the installation of photovoltaic systems to power light bulbs in household would actually be cheaper than using the grid in Trinidad. So we really did appreciate Rianne's efforts and her contributions to the cohort. So we do have, I would love to have everyone turn on their cameras, and we'd love to do a final talk and have the Q&A, and we can all talk about some of the questions that are in here. So it's great to see you all. So this is what I like. My favorite part of every Tuesday night was seeing everybody on camera. At the end, I always used to tell everyone, turn on your cameras and we'll take a screenshot. So this is awesome to see everyone. So let's just see some of the questions in the Q&A. I'm going to take one question, and this is for everyone. And if you want to speak, you can just unmute yourself. There's a question from Claire. Thank you for your question, Claire, when you said, are there any questions that you all think future versions of the Academy should focus on some more? That it sounds very well-rounded, but all of you bring so many unique ideas and experiences. So is there anything that you all would have liked to have seen us focus a bit more on? Or anything you think now, what you've learned, you think future versions of the Academy can focus on? Please feel free to, anyone can answer. If you just unmute, you can. I see everyone's thinking, which is good. Yes, Christine.
Yes, I really like the last couple of weeks when the cohort was actually able to share. And I think if we're able to like prioritize a few more sessions like that, then you'll be able to like learn about those countries, but also real work, you know, that persons are doing, people that look just like us. Because from the beginning, we had amazing guest speakers, but they're developed people in their field. So it's really good to learn about grassroots action and from the cohort themselves. So I think we can benefit from that. And perhaps another aspect is keeping the network going. I know we still have to sort that out as the first cohort, but how do we keep it going so that we can stay connected to next year's group?
Yeah, that's an awesome point. We do actually have plans for you all for next year. We would love to have you all, if you can, be mentors. That's something that we would love to bring to the table so that we can keep this conversation going. Was there anyone else who wanted to answer the question or want to just give some general impressions about the experience? Hi, Luciano, I see you've unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of had the same opinion as Christine, but I was thinking more of, what's it called again, exchange between the different countries. It was so insightful, really, to hear from others, from the others in the cohort. And it would have been even better to meet them, actually, you know?
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I think when Shanna says that I get like tingles down my spine because it was so amazing, as you say. I don't know if I know someone in Suriname as well as I now know you, Luciano. And I can honestly say I feel that genuinely. I feel a sense of the way we know each other, the way we have communicated in safe spaces, we've communicated topics and experiences, the vulnerability of being a climate activist, the way that you can be targeted when you are part of an intersection or a marginalized community. And we felt safe to talk about that. And we also talked about the importance of, there were times when we were aware that it might be a difficult experience for some people to be part of the sessions. And we gave space to say if you wanted to excuse yourself, if you wanted to talk about it after. And I think this is something that this sense of fellowship and this sense of resilience that we found and the way we bonded that to me has been the best thing. That I think someone in the chat says that I'm young at heart, and I feel younger from being around you all. The energy that you all have brought to this is absolutely wonderful. And I think it's changed us like for the good. I feel a fundamental shift in who I am and how I want to relate to people, and how my awareness of marginalized groups and my awareness of which I thought was pretty high, but as Luciano and Christine says, the exchange between the members of the cohort of knowledge, possibly sometimes, and we will get to see each other at COP, but it's a great idea to know that if we could create exchanges where, like say Luciana came to Barbados and I went to Suriname, that would be really, really interesting. Because to be on the ground and to see how in the Caribbean, because of the different sociocultural experiences, can be very different places depending on where they are. Okay, so thanks for that, Luciana. That was a great point. Anyone else want to say something on that point? And then before I go to another question?
Yes.
Hey,
Perhaps a cross-island collaboration project. I know the end of this program, we're supposed to be working on our individual projects, but I can just imagine like all of us coming together and creating and planning like a summit. I just think that would be so awesome in the future.
Yes, I sincerely hope that our CEO, James, is hearing all of these plans that we have, because we definitely want to keep this going. And I think the idea of it, we know we'll always be in touch, right? And this is something that one of the benefits of the Academy was that it undermined that traditional, what I see as deeply colonial focus in education in this part of the world, that it's highly competitive. We took that out of the equation. We were as collaborative as possible. Even the assignments, I said, well, I would love them to be individually submitted, but please collaborate. We collaborated in the sessions. And I think that's something that we're always going to do. And that's something that's changed me a lot too, seeing the benefits of collaboration and this, this false paradigm of that we all need to be stacked up and judged against each other. No, we don't. We don't need that. That's not really relevant when it comes to effectively combating what's happening now with the climate. So I think that's really important. So thank you. I'm going to go to another question because I see time is going. We had a question in the chat, which was, for any of us, we can talk about this. The question was how there are many non-self-governing territories of islands. And do we think that they should have party status at COP? And how can we best bring their concerns to international dialogues? And that is something that I think is important. I know that Ariane is from Aruba and she's not here, but that's part of the Netherlands. I think one of the ways that in Island Innovation we're trying to do that, we have a virtual space called Island Voices at COP28, where we try as far as possible, anyone who joins that virtual space will be on the ground, and we will try to see how can we seek answers and seek resources to address those questions. But does anyone have any ideas on the panel that you'd wish to focus on? How can those islands who are, say, overseas dependent territories, it's really important for them to get their voices heard. That's one of the things we saw in the cohort, that the concerns that happen in Aruba and what happened in the Netherlands are very different. Yet the Netherlands would represent Aruba, would represent their territory at COP28. So I think this is something that we really have to be, when we look at the political realities and the political nuances, I think that's something else that we really could appreciate very well through the experience. Go ahead, Muskan, I see you're feeling.
Yeah, so Curacao, Aruba, Bonaire, we're all in a similar situation where, you know, I'm born in Curacao, I have a Dutch passport. It's a very interesting relationship. And I think about this a lot. I think about the way that as a world, we've just decided that countries are how we kind of like stand up for ourselves, and that's the unit of like political organization, which I think has its problems. But I think one of my biggest takeaways from the academy was that I feel like so many of the conversations we had were concerns and ideas that were shared across the Caribbean and across the region. And I think that kind of solidarity and collectivity can surpass often like these political problems, like the political realities that we face, that like Curacao would be represented by the Netherlands and not by Curacao. But, you know, being able to attend COP via this program, I feel more empowered that I'm actually going to be able to advocate for my island and other territories in this position, because the truth of the matter is we face very particular challenges to our geography, and being part of this academy, we can talk about that and we can advocate for that. And so I think this space has kind of created a way to surpass the unfortunate political realities that we don't get the appropriate representation that we deserve.
Thanks for that insight. Yeah, so that's why it really is important for the overseas territories or the smaller aspects of larger countries like the Netherlands. It's really important for that voice to be separately represented at a venue like COP28, because again, there's nothing like having your voice heard, but there's nothing like when you're embedded in an experience, the experiential data, the qualitative data, because that's what a story is, right? It's another form of data. And that's something that's going to be recorded and it's there. And I think something I'm seeing in the chat as well, the need for trans and inter-Caribbean collaboration. We have so much to learn from each other, as we have proven in this academy, and we really enjoy learning from each other. So I'm going to round up with the final question that is asking, any of you have the different experiences from the members of the cohort, how has this impacted how you think or approach your work differently? Is it something that you think you'll approach your work a bit differently now that you've had the experience in the cohort, or even just how you interact with people? Please feel free to unmute. Go ahead, Lasana.
Yeah, definitely. It made me look at things from a different perspective. Although we're all from the Caribbean region, we do have different capacities and different ways in which we come up with solutions, decision making, and so forth. And really the inclusion of certain aspects of the climate justice should be included in the climate change elements that we're working on within the professional realm. So I do agree that with the different angles and the different experiences and feedback from the colleagues, that I definitely have incorporated that, have mentioned that to colleagues at work, that certain elements should be added within a certain decision making. I do work for the government, so the different decision making elements within the workspace.
That's great. Thank you, Lasana. And thank you all for being here. I think with that, we're going to bring this session to a close. This has been amazing. It's felt too short, and this is something that always happened in our climate justice sessions. The sessions were meant to be an hour, but we'd always end up going over time because we had so many amazing conversations. So thanks so much to all of you for being here. Thanks to these amazing young people who are accomplishing so much already at this very young age. I want to just say, for those of you who may have missed it, we're going to have an incredible event in person next year in May 2024, the Prince The government of Prince Edward Island is going to be partnering with us, and we're going to be hosting the first ever Global Sustainable Island Summit in Canada. And that's happening next year in May. There should be a link in the chat. We have some early bird tickets, anyone who is interested in attending that particular event. Please, follow us on social media, follow these amazing young people. Any of you who want to go on LinkedIn and look for these amazing young people, follow their projects. They are the future of making sure this world is going to be an incredible place for all of us. And I think what I admire most about all these young people is that they show an awareness and a wisdom far beyond their years, and an openness and a willingness to learn and really love this experience. There's going to be a feedback form for the sessions as well. Those of you who are interested in just letting us know what you've thought so far about the Virtual Island Summit, that's going to be made available. So thanks so much to all of you. I always hate to leave these young people, but I know I'll see you all online soon on WhatsApp and everything. So thanks so much. This has been absolutely brilliant, and sending all my love and hugs from Barbados. Thanks so much, everyone. See you at the next session.